He stood on his porch, weathered but unbowed, a man of pride and grit. At 78, Tom Hargrove was no stranger to battles, but nothing prepared him for the moment two self-styled HOA enforcers grabbed him, snapping his arm like dry kindling. They left him sprawled on his own lawn, broken and abandoned. Hours later, the growl of motorcycles shattered the suburban silence as his biker kin roared into Fairview Pines. What unfolded next turned the manicured neighborhood into a battleground of wills, a clash that would spark debates for years. Let's start from the spark that ignited it all. Fairview Pines was a place of suffocating perfection. Lawns were clipped at dawn, mailboxes mirrored shutters, and any hint of individuality, a vibrant garden or a weathered truck, was swiftly crushed by the homeowners association. The HOA, meant to maintain order, had morphed into a petty tyranny, wielded by clipboard-wielding busybodies with no heart. Tom, a retired Marine, had called this cul-de-sac home for 2 decades. His house, with its ever-present American flag, stood as a quiet monument to his service. He mowed his lawn weekly, not for the HOA's approval, but for his own pride. Widowed, with daughters long moved away, all he wanted was his coffee, his paper, and peace. But peace was a luxury the HOA rarely allowed. That morning, Tom was fixing a fence slat, reinforcing it with wood that matched the gray of his property. No neon paint, no garish decor, just a repair. At 11:08 a.m., a black SUV with tinted windows rolled up, a neighborhood compliance patrol decal slapped on its side. 2 men stepped out, clad in tactical vests and mirrored sunglasses, their chests emblazoned with HOA enforcement patches. They carried radios, no badges, and an air of unearned authority. Tom eyed them from his porch, wiping sweat from his brow. "You fellas lost?" he asked, voice steady. The taller one, lean and smug, clutched a clipboard. "You're in violation. Unauthorized fence modification." Tom snorted. "I'm fixing a slat." The man didn't blink. "You didn't file Form 12C. That's a $500 fine and a corrective order. 48 hours to comply, or we escalate." Tom stepped forward, eyes narrowing. "You ever serve? Or is this your idea of duty?" The man froze, but his partner, a burly thug, edged closer. "Sign the citation." The clipboard man snapped, thrusting out a pen. Tom didn't budge. Or what? What happened next was a blur of arrogance and brutality. The big one grabbed Tom's arm. Tom yanked back, instinct kicking in, but the grip tightened. A brief scuffle, then a sickening crack split the air. Tom collapsed, his forearm bent grotesquely. The men stood stunned, their clipboard clattering to the pavement. For a fleeting second, they seemed human, almost regretful. But cowardice won. "He resisted," the big one muttered. They climbed into their SUV and sped off, leaving Tom writhing in the sun. No neighbor emerged. Curtains twitched, eyes peered, but doors stayed locked. Fairview Pines watched, silent and complicit. Hours later, a mail carrier found Tom, barely conscious, and called an ambulance. At the hospital, X-rays revealed a compound fracture requiring surgery, pins, screws, months of rehab. The staff filed a report, but there were no badge numbers, no official HOA enforcement arm. "They're just bullies with vests," a nurse sighed. Tom's pain wasn't just physical. It was the betrayal of a community that turned its back. Across town, Ethan Hargrove, Tom's grandson, was tinkering with his Harley when his phone buzzed. His mother's voice broke through sobs. "The HOA attacked your granddad. They broke his arm." Ethan's blood ran cold. He didn't ask questions. He pulled on a leather vest, its back stitched with Iron Brotherhood, and sent a single text to a group chat labeled "Ride or Die. Meet at Fairview Pines." "Family's been hit." Engines roared before dusk. 10 bikes rolled through the neighborhood's gates, a slow, deliberate invasion. Ethan led, his Harley growling like a beast. Behind him rode men forged by hard lives, veterans, mechanics, ex-cons. They weren't here for chaos, not yet. They parked across the cul-de-sac, blocking it off. Neighbors peeked from windows, some dialing 911, but no laws were broken. Ethan dismounted and climbed Tom's porch, where the old man sat, arm in a sling. "Didn't expect the whole damn army," Tom said with a faint grin. Ethan knelt. "You taught me family fights back." Tom's eyes gleamed. "Do it smart." Do it clean. Ethan signaled his crew. They spread out, silent sentinels. One watched the HOA clubhouse. Two staked out an SUV matching the attacker's description. Inside a nearby garage, Greg Tanner and Mike Voss, the fake enforcers, watched via a ring camera. That's the grandson, Greg hissed, toothpick in mouth. Mike, sweating, stammered. I didn't mean to break his arm. He grabbed me. Greg's eyes darkened. Now he's brought a gang. We wait this out. But they knew it wouldn't blow over. The neighborhood stirred. Mrs. Larson, a 70-year-old widow, broke the tension by offering the bikers lemonade. A man dragged out chairs. A kid begged for a bike ride. The fear dissolved, replaced by defiance. Greg and Mike watched, horrified, as neighbors embraced the thugs. Greg grabbed a burner phone and dialed Victor Crane, the HOA's shadowy president. Simmons, it's falling apart, he whispered. Victor, a man who thrived on control, didn't answer. He was already plotting. That night, the bikers stayed, rotating watch. The HOA's emails, unauthorized gatherings, security threats, fell on deaf ears. Residents shared stories of absurd fines. $300 for unapproved porch lights, $150 for excessive barbecue smoke. At 3 a.m., Ethan's cousin stopped a van sneaking in, loaded with pre-signed violation slips. The driver confessed. He was paid per citation on Victor's orders. Ethan recorded it all, a ticking bomb. By morning, Fairview Pines was unrecognizable. Residents rebelled. An old man defaced an HOA sign. A mother ripped down a compliance notice. Kids stomped violation stakes. Ethan hadn't meant to spark a revolution, but the HOA's grip was crumbling. At 11 a.m., Victor Crane arrived in a sleek Lexus, flanked by security. He strode to the clubhouse, ignoring the bikers, and posted a notice. All demonstrations must cease. Noncompliance means fines and legal action. Ethan tore it down, dropping it at Victor's feet. This isn't a negotiation, he said. Victor smirked. You think your gang scares me? Ethan leaned in. We've got Greg and Mike on camera breaking a 78-year-old's arm. And it's going viral unless you resign and dissolve the HOA. Victor's face paled as a neighbor played the footage. Ethan held up a USB. This hits every inbox, newsroom, and attorney general's desk unless you're gone by tonight. The crowd grew, phones recording, signs rising. Tom deserves justice. Victor's power evaporated. That night, a vigil for Tom became a rally. Ethan spoke from a truck bed. Fear ruled here, disguised as order. You're taking it back. The crowd roared. Inside the clubhouse, Greg and Mike panicked. Victor had fled. They tried to run but were met by deputies, tipped off by Ethan's evidence. Zip-tied on a squad car, they faced charges of assault and impersonation. The HOA collapsed, board resigned, violations voided, clubhouse sealed. Fairview Pines was free. Days later, Tom sat on his porch, arm healing, watching neighbors reconnect. Ethan lingered, sipping coffee. At a block party, residents shared stories of HOA tyranny. A girl gave Tom a drawing of him standing tall. Ethan took the mic, voice calm but fierce. You broke the fear. Now protect this. Be neighbors again. The crowd nodded, changed. The lawsuits would come, but for now, Fairview Pines breathed. Tom and Ethan sat as dusk fell, the old man's pride quiet but deep. You were wild, Tom said. But you knew what was worth fighting for. The street glowed with new life, a victory won not with fire, but with truth and steel. What do you think? Was Ethan's rebellion justice or chaos? Should neighbors have fought sooner, or was the HOA's control inevitable? Share your thoughts in the comments. Let's debate the line between order and tyranny in our communities.